just globally, do you have a sense of, like, sorry, I'm not trying to give you an ego here, but like if you look at the numbers on YouTube for like the pre-tournament press conferences, how much people watch them?
So Iga's Tech is next. The last time you played her, you won in straight sets. So I know it was on hard court. So it's kind of early, but how are you approaching?
The miracle in Abu Dhabi. How Alex Eala lit up the desert sky and saved a nation's heart. Last night, amid the cold forest of glass and steel, Mubadala Tower suddenly lit up. Waves of emerald, deep blue, and crimson lights swept across its towering facade, slowly coming together to form a familiar face, Alexandra Eala. Somewhere on a quiet street below, on a late-night bus heading back to the workers' district, Emilia, a Filipino mother who has spent 15 years abroad caring for other people's children, suddenly broke down in tears. She looked up at the glowing sky, her tired face pressed against the cold window, and whispered, trembling, "Alex, you did it." And Alex, standing silently by the window of her hotel room, the lights reflected across her young face, no longer heard the match commentary. She didn't hear the roar of the stadium or the screech of sneakers on the hard court. Instead, she felt the invisible weight of 110 million hearts reaching toward her. In that moment, staring out at the alien skyline that had suddenly become home, she sent more than 10 words from her heart back to her beloved homeland. But to understand why Emilia was crying on that bus, and why a skyscraper in the middle of the desert was wearing the face of a 20-year-old girl from Quezon City, we have to go back. We have to go back to the moment when everything seemed lost, to the moment when the miracle wasn't a headline, but a whisper in a dying storm. Welcome back to Champions Tennisistics. Today, we aren't just talking about tennis. We are talking about the night Alexandra Eala refused to die. Let's set the scene, shall we? February 2026. The Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open, a WTA 500 event. In the tennis world, this isn't just another stop on the tour. It is a gladiator pit. The Middle East swing is brutal. The courts are fast, the air is dry, and the sun beats down with an unforgiving glare. It's a place where the rich and famous come to watch the best athletes in the world suffer for their entertainment. And into this arena walked Alexandra Eala. Now, let's be real for a second. We've been tracking Alex since she was a junior sensation. We watched her lift that U.S. Open Junior trophy in New York, speaking Tagalog to the world. We watched her grind through the ITF circuit, playing in dusty towns in Spain and France, far away from the glitz of the main tour. We've seen the injuries, the first-round exits, the doubts, the whispers from critics saying, she's too small, or she doesn't have the power, or maybe the juniors was her peak. But 2026 felt different. There was a steeliness in her eyes we hadn't seen before. She arrived in Abu Dhabi ranked inside the top 50 for the first time, a career milestone that many thought would take years longer to achieve. But rankings are just numbers on a computer screen. They don't protect you when you're down a set and a break against a veteran who knows exactly how to dismantle a young player's dreams. Her opponent? Alexandra Sasnovich, the Belarusian veteran. A player who has been around the block, who knows every trick in the book, and who hits the ball with a flat, skidding trajectory that stays low and frustrates the hell out of anyone trying to play a rhythm game. The match started, and it was a disaster. Let's not sugarcoat it, folks. The first set was a demolition. Sasnovich came out firing like she had a dinner reservation she didn't want to miss. She was painting the lines, moving Alex side to side like a puppet on a string. Alex looked tight. Her feet were heavy. That legendary lefty forehand, it was misfiring, sailing long, catching the net. The unforced errors were piling up like unpaid bills. 6-2. First set to Sasnovich. The crowd, packed with Filipino expats, the Emilias of the world, who had used their one day off to come and see their hero, went quiet. You could feel the anxiety in the stadium. They weren't just watching a tennis match. They were watching a piece of their national pride get dismantled. And then came the second set. Alex fought. She gritted her teeth. She started to find her range. She scrapped and clawed her way to a 6-4 win to level the match. Okay, we thought. Here we go. The momentum has shifted. The Queen of the East is back. But tennis is a cruel sport. Just when you think you've climbed the mountain, the ground gives way beneath you. The third set began, and the nightmare returned. Sasnovich didn't fold. She got angry. She dialed up the aggression. She broke Alex's serve in the first game. Then she held. Then she broke again. Love 3. Love 4. Let me repeat that for the people in the back who might have turned off the TV in disgust. Alexandra Eala was down love 4 in the deciding third set. In professional tennis, coming back from love 4 in the third set against a top-tier opponent is statistically nearly impossible. It's the death zone. The body language usually changes here. The shoulders drop. The racket gets tossed. The player starts looking at their coaching box with that get-me-out-of-here look. Sasnovich was cruising. She was serving for 5 love. She had match points looming. The commentators were already writing the post-match summary. Valiant effort from the young Filipina, but experience wins the day. Eala runs out of gas in the desert. But this is where the story shifts from sports news to mythology. This is where the script flips. Down love 4, sitting on the bench during the changeover, Alex didn't put a towel over her head to hide. She looked up. She looked into the stands. And what did she see? She saw the flags. The 3 stars and a sun, waving frantically in the hands of nurses, engineers, nannies, and construction workers. She saw the faces of people who wake up at 4 a.m. every day to build a country that isn't theirs, just to send money home to families they haven't seen in years. She saw Emilia. And something in Alex snapped. Not the snap of a broken spirit, but the snap of a lock clicking open. She walked back to the baseline, wiped the sweat from her brow, and spun the racket in her hand. She didn't look like a player who was losing. She looked like a player who was just getting started. It started with a single point. A forehand winner down the line that landed with a crack like a whip. Then another. Then a serve out wide that Sasnovich couldn't touch. 1-4. A polite applause. Okay, she's on the board. A consolation game. But then Alex broke Sasnovich's serve. She stepped inside the baseline, taking the ball early, robbing the Belarusian of time. The footwork, suddenly, was electric. She was dancing. 2-4. The crowd woke up. The Let's Go Alex chant started, low at first, a rumbling bass line in the stadium. Alex held serve again. 3-4. Now, Sasnovich was looking nervous. The balls that were painting the lines in the first set were now drifting wide. The confident stride was gone, replaced by a hesitant shuffle. She could feel it. We all could. The ghost of a comeback was haunting the court. But Sasnovich is a pro. She held serve to make it 5-3. She was 1 game away. Again, she had match points. Specifically, in the 10th game, Sasnovich had a match point. 1 swing of the racket, and it's over. Alex goes home. The crowd goes home sad. The ball came over the net. A deep, heavy shot to Alex's backhand. Alex scrambled. She was pulled wide, off the court. She threw up a defensive lob, a desperation shot. It hung in the air for what felt like an eternity. It landed in, just inside the baseline. Sasnovich smashed the overhead, but she didn't put it away. Alex was there. She guessed right. She ripped a passing shot that scorched the air as it flew past the stunned Belarusian. Deuce. Advantage Eala. Game Eala. 5-all. The stadium didn't just erupt. It exploded. It wasn't polite tennis applause anymore. It was the sound of a basketball game in Araneda Coliseum. It was the sound of a boxing match in Vegas. It was raw, guttural, tribal. They went to a tiebreak. Of course, they did. Fate demanded it. The third set tiebreak. The ultimate pressure cooker. First to 7 points, win by 2. It was a war of attrition. Sasnovich, rattled but dangerous, was swinging for the fences. Alex was countering with precision and heart. 1-all, 2-all, 3-all. Every point was a rally of 10, 15, 20 shots. Lungs burning, legs screaming. But Alex refused to miss. She was playing with what the old folks call pusso, heart. But it was more than that. It was tap-on, courage. At 6-5, Alex had her first match point. The tables had turned completely. The girl who was dead and buried an hour ago was now standing with the knife in her hand. She served. Sasnovich returned. A short rally ensued. Alex saw an opening, a slight gap on the forehand side. She didn't hesitate. She didn't play it safe. She unleashed a lefty forehand, cross-court, with so much topspin it dipped viciously over the net and kicked up off the court. Sasnovich lunged. Her racket framed the ball. It sailed high and wide. Game, set, and match, Eala. The scream Alex let out wasn't a girl's scream. It was a warrior's cry. She dropped her racket, falling to her knees on the hard blue court, her face buried in her hands. The scoreline, 2-6, 6-4, 7-6. From love 4 down in the third. From match point down. She had done the impossible. The aftermath was chaos. The Filipino fans were leaning over the railings, weeping, waving flags, throwing gifts onto the court. The security guards, usually stern and stoic, stepped back, letting the moment breathe. They understood. This wasn't just a sport tonight. Alex walked to the center of the court for the post-match interview. She was breathless, sweating, her eyes red with emotion. The interviewer, a seasoned sports journalist, looked almost as stunned as the loser. "Alex," he said, "you were down love 4. You were facing match points. How? Just how?" Alex took the microphone. Her hand was shaking slightly. She looked up at the stands, scanning the faces. She saw the construction hats, the nursing scrubs, the tired eyes that were now shining with joy. She didn't speak in English first. She spoke to them. She took a deep breath and delivered the words that would later make Emilia cry on the bus. The words that resonated from Abu Dhabi to Manila. Hindi lang ito laban ko, laban nating lahat. Mabuhay ang Filipino. This is not just my fight, it is our fight. Long live the Filipino. 10 words. A declaration. A vow. She continued in English, her voice cracking. "I heard you. When I was down love 4, I wanted to give up. My legs were heavy. But I heard someone shout, 'Laban Alex,' and I remembered why I'm here. I'm not just playing for myself. I'm playing for every single one of you who sacrifices so much." The camera panned to the crowd. Grown men were wiping their eyes. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated connection. In a world of commercialized sports, where athletes are brands and corporations, Alex Eala reminded us that at its core, sports is about representation. It's about being the avatar for a people's hopes. But let's step back from the emotion for a second and look at the cold, hard facts. What did this win actually mean for her career? This wasn't just an exhibition match. This was a WTA 500. The points are massive. With this run to the quarterfinals, yes, she eventually bowed out to the powerful Russian Ekaterina Alexandrova in the next round, a match where she simply ran out of physical gas. Alex Eala skyrocketed up the rankings. Overnight, the live rankings updated. The number 40 appeared next to her name. Top 40 in the world. Do you realize how insane that is? For decades, Philippine tennis was a wasteland. We had great players, sure, Felix Barrientos, Cecil Mamiat, Treat Huey in doubles, but a singles player in the top 40 of the WTA? That is uncharted territory. That is rarefied air. She is now swimming with the sharks. She is in the bracket where she gets direct entry into Grand Slams. No more qualifying rounds in the ring. No more hoping for a wild card. She belongs there. This rise didn't happen by accident. It's the result of a grueling off-season. We've heard reports from her training camp at the Rafa Nadal Academy. They say she's been working on her serve speed, adding 5 to 10 miles per hour to her first serve. They say she's been in the gym, building the lower body strength needed to survive these 3-hour marathons. And we saw it in Abu Dhabi. In the third set against Sasnovich, when most players would be cramping, Alex was sprinting. Her fitness level is now world-class. She is no longer the frail teenager. She is an athlete in her prime. Which brings us back to that image. The Mubadala Tower. Now, whether the tower literally projected her face or whether it was the tower of her achievement casting a light over the city, the metaphor holds true. That night, Abu Dhabi belonged to her. In the world of Middle East tennis, they love a star. They love a narrative. And they have fallen in love with Alex Eala. She brings the crowd. She brings the passion. In a region trying to position itself as the new hub of global sports, Alex Eala is a marketer's dream. She connects the massive Southeast Asian diaspora with the luxury of the sport. But for Emilia, on that bus, it wasn't about marketing. Imagine Emilia's day. She woke up at 5 a.m. She cooked breakfast for a family that isn't hers. She cleaned a house she will never own. She took care of children who will grow up to be her bosses. She hasn't seen her own daughter in Quezon Province in 2 years. She sends 80% of her salary home. She is tired. Her back hurts. She is lonely. Then she opens her phone. She sees the news. She sees the video of Alex screaming in victory. She sees the headline, Eala shocks world, saves match points. In 2026, we are seeing Alex 2.0. The serve. Her toss is higher. She's using more leg drive. She's hitting spots, sliding the slice, serve out wide on the ad court to open up the court for her forehand. This was crucial against Sasnovich. The forehand. It's heavier. She's hitting it with more RPMs, revolutions per minute. The ball dips late, forcing opponents to hit up, which gives Alex a short ball to attack. Net play. She's coming forward. In the tiebreak, she hit a swinging volley that was pure instinct. That comes from her doubles play. Remember, she's a Grand Slam doubles winner too. She is becoming an all-court player. The Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open is huge. It's owned by IMG now, one of the biggest sports management companies in the world. By performing here, Alex puts herself in the shop window for global sponsorships. Nike, Adidas, Wilson, they are all watching. But more importantly, this tournament is the gateway to the Sunshine Double in the US, Indian Wells, and Miami. By getting these ranking points now, she secures her spot in those massive events. She is setting herself up for a year where she doesn't have to worry about making the cut. She is the cut. Let's go back to Emilia on the bus. Why did she cry? It wasn't just because Alex won. It was because Alex acknowledged them. Too often, politicians or celebrities visit the Middle East and ignore the workers. They stay in the 7-star hotels and take photos at the Burj Khalifa. Alex didn't just play, she connected. Her speech in Tagalog was a signal. It was a code. It said, "I know you are here. I see you. I am one of you." That validation is worth more than gold to someone who feels invisible. That is why the Mubadala Tower lit up in our story. Not because of a projector, but because the collective pride of the Filipino community was bright enough to outshine the city lights. As we wrap up this special report, I want you to think about those 10 words again. Hindi lang ito laban kayo, laban nating lahat. In an era where athletes are often criticized for being selfish, for chasing the paycheck, Alex Eala stands as a throwback to a different time. She carries the flag not as a logo on her shirt, but as a burden on her soul, a burden she gladly accepts. She knows that when she wins, the jeepney driver in Manila smiles. The nurse in London walks a little taller. The domestic worker in Abu Dhabi wipes a tear and keeps going. She is the daughter of the Pearl of the Orient, shining bright in the desert night. We are witnessing the blossoming of a global superstar. Not just a tennis player, but an icon. The 2026 season is young, but it has already defined her career. The girl is gone. The woman has arrived. And she has put the entire WTA Tour on notice. The Philippines is here. And we are not going anywhere. So, as we close this extended coverage, remember this date. February 2026. The month the girl became the queen. The month the desert became home. This is history in the writing, folks. And you are watching it live on Champions Tennisitics. So what do you think, champions? Can Alex Eala crack the top 20 this year? Can she carry this momentum into Roland Garros and Wimbledon? And for all our Cababayans watching, where were you when she made the comeback? Were you in the stadium? Were you watching on a grainy stream on your phone? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your story. If this story gave you goosebumps, if you are proud of what Alex has achieved, smash that like button until it breaks. It helps the channel, and it helps us tell more stories like this. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You do not want to miss our next update, as we follow Alex's journey through the desert and beyond. We will be with her every step of the way, win or lose. This is Champions Tennisitics, signing off. Remember, it's not over until the last point is played. Mabuhay kayong lahat.